If you're wondering who the best hunter we have in Solo Leveling Arise is, well, right now it's looking like Cha is going to take that #1 spot because as we take a deep dive into her skills, she looks absolutely amazing. One of the strongest hunters we've seen to date, so definitely save your essence stones and tickets because she's a unit you definitely want to summon for. And this may change our rerolling landscape for when the game does officially release. She might be that one unit you have to get since her damage looks astounding. Now, this video is thanks to Alpha Leaker on Twitter. They somehow managed to get into the game and get Cha's complete skill loadout, and they thankfully have shared it with us, so a big props to them. And also I should mention we're doing a $100 giveaway since we are approaching the 30,000 subscriber milestone. Our last giveaway winner was Solo Leveling 555, so be sure to enter. This will be for the Google Play Store, Apple App Store, or the amount just sent to you directly. Just comment below to enter, be subscribed to the channel, and drop a like to show your support. So jumping right into things, we can take a look at her skills. Obviously there's a very high chance her skills will be changed upon release, but at least we'll get a general sense of the framework, and she looks absolutely amazing. I highly recommend avoiding Silverman Yunhu. They aren't the most promising unit right now, and it's not worth spending your essence stones or tickets on them, so do save them for Cha. She's getting a ton of advertising right now. She's going to be one of the highlighted units in the game, so let's take a closer look at her build. So first off, we have her weapon, the Sword of Flight. The stat bonus for her exclusive weapon is very basic, having a critical damage bonus effect, increasing it by 2% for 12 seconds, and stacking 6 times. And at the A5 level, let's see what it provides. So again, whenever Cha uses a basic skill, it increases the critical damage by 8% for 12 seconds, stacking up to 6 times. That's a 6% improvement from the base weapon, stacking all the way up to a 48% bonus, which is honestly quite high. So definitely one of those weapons you want to get to A5 as soon as possible. I'm hoping she'll have a weapon event when she is released, just like we've seen for other hunters. Hopefully hers is easy to do. That way we unlock it much easier. And let's move on to her skills because they're some of the best damage dealing skills I've seen, and they have very unique status effects, which we will cover. So looking at her basic attack, no break or anything, just simple damage. And here we can see the effect in play. Very nice and smooth, that's what we want to see. And the following core attack does lots of damage on top of applying the airborne effect. And with her first skill coming up, the Dancer, there's something you have to note. It applies 2 different effects. It is a little bit confusing because it applies the Dancer effect. That doesn't mean the skill, it's a separate effect. And when landing a crit, it also applies the Waltz of the Sword effect. We can see the Waltz of the Sword effect here. The Dancer can be used an infinite number of times while the effect is active. This is only for a few seconds, I believe it's 4 seconds, so you can use the Dancer as many times as you want during that duration, which is quite good. And the Dancer effect is quite good as well. It boosts Cha's crit and attack by a certain percentage up to 3 stacks, and we will see more of this in just a second. Her next skill, Sword of Flight, again a very powerful skill as you saw there, extremely strong, and it does knock down the opponent once the last stack in the combo does hit. And we have 2 more status effects here. We have Branded and Unrecoverable. These are very interesting, and we'll see more of this in just a second. But when a target is branded, it increases the damage of this skill by 15%, so it's very nice. And it applies the unrecoverable effect to the target when the last attack of the combo hits. And we'll see just how good this effect is as it comes up in the following skills here. So her support skill, the Light Strike, again does knock down the opponent, deals a lot of light damage, but the main part is that it applies 2 effects. That is the unrecoverable and brand effects we mentioned earlier. Unrecoverable is very interesting, and actually I do think it's quite useful. I absolutely hate any bosses that have heals, so this is perfect. Target is unable to recover HP, and the duration is 30 seconds. That's honestly quite long. We'll be able to proc it indefinitely from my understanding, as long as Cha does stay alive of course, so very useful for enemies that do recover HP. And if we look at the brand effect, it increases both critical hit rate and damage by 12% to targets hit by the skill. Again, the main theme of Cha is getting lots of crit and critical damage, as shown here by the brand effect. So this is one of the better support skills I have seen. Given that we are on the crit meta, this stats effect just backs it up so much more. And taking a look at our QTE skill, we have Rampant of Light. It deals a ton of damage, and it also causes the enemy to go into an airborne state, and it also provides the brand effect. So a very good skill. Again, the brand effect is very strong, as listed here again. It increases increasing crit and crit damage by 12% for a very long duration. That's what we want to see. And her ultimate skill, again dealing an absolute ton of damage. And not only does it have a high percentage, it also deals more damage on top of the base damage that Brand provides. So not only increasing their crit and critical damage, it also increases the base damage of the ultimate by 30%. So make sure the branded effect is in play when you use her ultimate. That 30% bonus is so high, so I really wonder if she's going to get nerfed based on how many stacking effects she has. And looking at her ultimate here, it looks absolutely amazing, and it looks very difficult to miss. That's exactly what we want. Now, looking at her passive details, when the dancer skill, which is this one here, the user has a 66% chance to brand a target. So this brand effect is really going to apply no matter what. It'll be very hard for it not to apply to the enemy. And for her A1 bonus, it increases the number of stacks the dancer effect can have. Again, not the skill. The dancer effect, like I mentioned earlier, will apply an attack bonus and a crit bonus. So again, she has so many stacking effects. Her A2 increases her crit, so this will bump it up from 3 to 5, which just makes her even stronger. And looking at her A2, increases the crit rate by 10%, which is nice. But her A3, when attacking a branded target, increases the skill damage of the dancer and sword of flight, which are her two basic skills, and it increases the damage by 40%. So you definitely want to get her to A3 at least. So many stacking effects and damage bonuses on top. Is Cha turning into one of the best units we've seen so far. And looking at her A4, the user's crit damage increases by 12%. So basically, if she crits, which she has a very high chance of doing based on how many crit bonuses she gets from the branded and her stacking effects, it'll deal even more damage. And looking at her A5 bonus, which is very hard to see since it's so bright because the ultimate is playing in the background, depending on the stack effects of the dancer, which is her stacking effect from her basic skill, going up to 3 or 5 depending on how many dupes you have, it increases the damage of the light of the hand, which is her ultimate, by 15%, and it stacks up to 5 times. Did I just read that right? So 5 times 15, that's 75% on top of the 30% bonus we get from a branded target, meaning this ultimate here is going to be an absolute nuke of an ability. So as it stands right now, Cha looks absolutely wicked. She is so powerful, probably one of the most powerful units we've seen, and she's a light unit, which is a gap we've had in our hunters so far. We do have hunters like Yoonhoo and Min who will synergize so well with her, but they're not damage dealers. They are a support and break unit, so adding Cha to the team will make it so well-rounded. Of course, depending on your use for those hunters, but Cha is going to fit in so well into our teams. She's going to bring so much damage into play. I honestly wonder upon release if she's going to be the best hunter we've seen in terms of damage. Choi is shivering in his boots right now because I fully expect Cha to completely outrank him. It is a bit unfortunate she doesn't have any breaks, but again, her kit has so much damage and it has some knockdowns and knockups, which is very nice. So I can't really complain there. I can't wait to summon for her. Again, I highly recommend skipping the Silvermane Yoonhoo banner and waiting for her banner to come in. It's going to be very painful if you do miss her, so save up all those Essence Stones and make sure you save your tickets because she's probably going to rock our world, doing a ton of damage and making bossing so much easier. So yeah, stay tuned until we unlock her. She should be out in the coming weeks. I believe she'll be out on release of the game globally, so I can't wait for that to happen. If you enjoyed, drop a like and comment down below, and be sure to subscribe to the channel for more Solo Leveling Arise content. This is Zaf signing out.